Hello and welcome. Before we begin today, I want to invite you to do something a little different with us. Usually when you press play on a deep dive, we are, well, we're sprinting. We're diving in head first, full of energy.
Right, racing to the next fact.
Exactly. But today, I want you to just take a breath.
Mm-hmm.
Just settle in. Maybe you're winding down for the day. Maybe the lights are already low. Or maybe you just need a moment of quiet in a loud world.
Yeah.
Whatever the case.
Yeah.
We're going to slow the pace down. We're stepping into a space that's a bit more reflective.
It's a very welcome change of pace. Sometimes to truly understand something deep, you have to let the water settle.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
You have to let the sediment drop so you can see clearly what's really underneath. And today's source material is, it's perfect for that.
It really is.
We aren't looking at a cutting-edge scientific paper or breaking news article. We're looking back, centuries back, to an ancient Buddhist text.
We are exploring an excerpt from the法句譬喻經. In English, it's known as the scriptural illustrations of the verse of the law. And specifically, we're unpacking a story with a title that feels like a riddle all on its own.
It does.
The arrogant man is like a blind man holding a candle.
It's such a profound image. And it speaks to a very specific, very human condition.
It does. But before we get to the metaphor, we have to meet the man himself.
We do. The story takes us to the ancient kingdom of Kaushambi. It asks us to imagine a bustling city, the sun high in the sky, beating down on these dusty streets.
Okay.
And walking through this bright, sunlit city is a man holding a burning torch.
It's such a striking visual to start with. Broad daylight, the sun is blazing, and here's this man gripping a torch, walking with this purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And our mission today is to figure out why. Why is he carrying that fire? What is he trying to prove? And maybe most importantly, do we, in our modern lives, do we sometimes walk around with torches of our own?
That is the real question, isn't it? To understand him, we first have to understand who he was. The text describes him as a Brahmin, a man named Vatsa.
Okay.
And the most important thing to know about him is that he was incredibly, undeniably intelligent.
But when you say intelligent, we aren't talking about like street smarts here, are we? This feels different.
No, not street smarts at all. This was academic weight. He was incredibly well-read. He had, devoured masses of scriptures. He'd studied the ancient texts inside and out.
So in his own mind.
In his mind, he had reached the absolute peak of knowledge. He felt he understood the underlying principles of the entire universe.
Wow.
From the movement of the stars to the nature of the soul.
So he has all this knowledge, but the text seems to imply that the knowledge itself wasn't the problem. It was. It was his relationship to it. It had sort of curdled into something else.
Exactly. The text uses the phrase Ganga Woman. It refers to a state of extreme arrogance, a high degree of self-importance.
So it's not just confidence.
No, it's a distortion of reality. He truly believed he had no equal in the world. He was so confident in his intellect that he would actually issue challenges to people. In the street, he wanted anyone, to debate him.
That's so interesting that he wanted a debate. Usually, if you're truly secure in what you know, you don't need that. You don't need to crush someone in an argument to feel smart.
But he seems desperate for it.
Did anyone ever take him up on these challenges?
No. And that's part of the tragedy and part of what fueled him. People were intimidated.
Or maybe just tired.
Or maybe they just didn't want to engage with that kind of aggressive energy. So the silence, it just fed his ego even more.
He saw it as proof.
He interpreted their silence as submission. He thought, I am so brilliant that no one even dares to speak to me.
Which creates this terrible feedback loop of isolation, right?
Yeah.
He thinks he's above everyone, so he separates himself, and because he's separated, he never gets a reality check. And that brings us to that day in the city. He decides that being smart isn't enough. He needs to make a physical statement. So he lights this torch in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Now, put yourself in the shoes of a shopkeeper in Kaushambi. You see this guy. What is the reaction?
I mean, confusion, mostly. It just disrupts the norm. People actually stopped him. They asked the obvious question.
Which is?
The sun is out. It's bright. Why are you holding a torch?
And his answer? It's just incredibly cynical. He doesn't say he's looking for something or that is a ritual. He looks at them and basically says, you were all in the dark.
Yes. He tells them, all people in the world are foolish and stubborn. You are blind to reality.
Wow.
So even though the sun is shining, your ignorance makes the world dark. I am holding this torch to illuminate your ignorance.
That is a massive complex.
Yeah.
He believes he is the sole source of light in a world of darkness. It's not just that he thinks he's smart. He thinks everyone else is fundamentally broken.
It's a very lonely place to be.
Isn't it? To think you are the only conscious person in a world of sleepwalkers.
And a dangerous place. This is where the story's perspective shifts. We're told that the Buddha is observing this whole scene from afar, and his diagnosis of the man is fascinating.
He doesn't just see a villain.
No, not at all. He doesn't see a jerk. He sees a complex being with a history.
The text mentions that this man actually had blessings and virtue from past lives. So he wasn't born empty. He had potential.
Exactly. He had the capacity for great wisdom. That's where his intelligence came from. But the Buddha saw that his current arrogance was a fatal flaw. He was fishing for fame. He was ignoring the impermanence of life.
And the Buddha saw where this was all headed.
Yes. He saw that if this man continued on this path, using his intellect to belittle others, not to understand truth, he was headed for immense suffering. The text actually says he would fall into a state of hell for endless eons.
The stakes were incredibly high then. It wasn't just about him being annoying in the marketplace. It was about the entire trajectory of his soul. So the Buddha decides to intervene. But, and I think this is a crucial detail for us, he doesn't part the clouds. He doesn't descend on a golden lotus with thunder and lightning. Why not?
Because that would have failed.
Right.
If a god descends to debate you, what does that do? It just proves how special you are.
Right. It would have fed his ego even more.
Exactly. Instead, the Buddha transforms. He takes on the appearance of a wise man, just a simple sage. He sits down in a shop on a high seat and just beckons the man over.
It's subtle. He meets the man on his own level. He calls him over and asks the exact same question the crowd did.
Why the torch in the daytime?
And the Brahmin gives the same rehearsed speech. Everyone is in darkness. I am the light.
Yes. He's stuck in his loop. He is expecting an argument. He's expecting the wise man to say, no, you're wrong.
But the wise man, the Buddha in disguise, he doesn't argue. He switches tactics completely. He uses what we might call the Socratic method today. He starts asking questions about specific fields of knowledge. The text calls these the four clarities. And I really want to slow down here and dig into these because they don't feel random. They feel specifically chosen to dismantle this type of intellectual arrogance.
They are very specific. The wise man asks, you say you know everything, so are you familiar with the four clarities?
And the Brahmin.
For the first time, he hesitates. He says, I have never heard of them.
That silence must have been just deafening for him. He's standing there with his torch, ready to lecture the world, and suddenly he's admitted ignorance. So what was the first one? The first clarity.
The first one was astronomy and geography. The wise man asks if he understands the heavens and the earth well enough to harmonize the four seasons.
Which sounds poetic, harmonizing the seasons, but it's actually incredibly practical, isn't it?
Oh, totally.
In an ancient society, if you don't understand the seasons, you can't plant crops. You can't survive. It's foundational knowledge for just existing.
Precisely. It's knowledge of the environment we actually live in. It anchors you in the physical world. The Brahmin lived in his head in the abstract.
Right.
This question forced him to look at the ground and the sky. The second clarity builds on that. It was about the five elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, and the sun, moon, and stars.
So understanding the nature of matter.
Yes, and how these forces nurture all living things.
So we have the macrocosm, the seasons, and the microcosm, the elements. It's basically physics and biology. The Buddha is asking, do you understand how reality is actually built?
And more importantly, you understand how it sustains life, because true wisdom nurtures. The third clarity then shifts to the human realm, governance. Do you understand the way of ruling? Do you know how to comfort the people and manage the state?
That's social intelligence. That's leadership. It's not just knowing facts. It's knowing how to organize society so people don't suffer. It's empathy applied to systems.
Exactly. Which is a huge challenge for the Brahmin because he's a loner. He's isolated. Governance requires understanding connection.
Right. And the fourth?
The fourth was military strategy. Do you understand how to defend the borders and keep the territory secure?
Now this one stands out to me. Why would a spiritual teacher ask about military strategy? It feels a little aggressive. Is it really about war, or is it about something else?
I think it's about protection. It's about boundaries. If you cannot protect your people, or even yourself, your wisdom is fragile. It can be destroyed.
So look at that list. Nature, physics, leadership, and security. These aren't abstract philosophical debates about the meaning of a word.
Which is likely what the Brahmin spent all his days doing.
Exactly. These are the pillars of how the world actually functions. The wise man is essentially asking, you claim to understand everything, but do you know how to grow food? Do you know how to lead people? Do you know how to keep them safe?
Yes. He's showing the Brahmin that his wisdom is useless if it cannot be applied to the reality of life. He was just floating in abstraction.
While the rest of the world was doing the hard work of living, and the Brahmin has to say no to all of it. And in that moment, the whole illusion just shatters. The man who thought he knew everything realizes his knowledge was incredibly narrow.
And here's the moment I find so powerful. The text says that upon realizing this, he felt deep shame, and he does something physical.
He drops the torch.
He drops the torch.
Can you just imagine the sound? The wooden handle hitting the dusty ground, the flames sputtering out in the dirt. It's such a beautiful symbol. He puts down his pretense. He puts down the artificial light he was carrying because he finally realizes it wasn't illuminating anything.
And once the torch is on the ground, once the ego is checked, that's when the Buddha reveals his true form. The text describes a golden body, radiating light that illuminates heaven and earth.
It's the contrast, isn't it, between the small, flickering flame of arrogance and the true, all-encompassing light of wisdom. The torch casts shadows. The Buddha's light revealed truth. And this is where the Buddha delivers the verse that gives this story its name.
He says, "If one knows a little but is arrogant, it's like a blind man holding a candle. He illuminates others but remains in darkness himself."
Let's just sit with that image for a moment.
Yeah.
A blind man holding a candle.
It creates such a feeling of sadness, doesn't it?
It does. It's tragic, but also painfully ironic. The candle is useful. It gives light. Other people might benefit from the knowledge this man has.
Right. If he wrote a book, I might learn from it. The crowd might see the street better because of his torch.
But the man holding it, he can't see the light he's carrying.
Because his arrogance has blinded him, the Buddha tells him that his knowledge, which he thought was the whole world, was merely a grain of dust compared to the universe.
Wow.
Yet he was parading it around as if he held the galaxy in his hand. The blindness isn't a lack of facts, it's a lack of perspective.
I think we've all met someone like this. Or, if we're being really honest, genuinely honest, in the quiet of this moment, we've been this person.
It's a very human tendency.
Yeah, you learn a new fact, or you read a new book, or you master a new skill at work, and suddenly you feel like you have the answer to everything. You want to correct people at dinner parties.
You want to hold up your torch.
Exactly.
We cling to what we know because it makes us feel safe. It makes us feel powerful in a chaotic world. But the story tells us that this clinging, this belief that my cup is full, is actually what keeps us in the dark.
Right. If your cup is full, you can't pour anything else into it.
Yeah.
You block wisdom. You block the four clarities. The source material actually has a specific section on this, the reflection, or Xing Sai. It talks about the antidote to this arrogance. Because it's not enough to just say, don't be arrogant. We need a mechanism. How do we put down the torch?
The text identifies reverence, or gongjing, as the medicine. It says that 1 part reverence eliminates 1 part karmic obstacle and increases 1 part wisdom.
Reverence. That's a soft word, but it feels like a strong action here.
Yeah.
It's not just politeness. It's not just bowing. How would you define it in this context?
It's about a fundamental respect for the unknown. It's about recognizing that you are not the center. It's looking at the world, looking at others, even those you think are in the dark, and assuming that there is something there to learn. The text quotes an old saying, "Pride brings loss, humility brings benefit."
Pride brings loss. We see that so clearly in the Brahmin. He was isolated. He had no friends, only people who were afraid of him. He was on a path to suffering. He lost connection.
Arrogance isolates. It builds a wall. When you're arrogant, you're sending a signal that you don't need anyone else. And eventually, people believe you and they leave you alone.
But humility.
Humility opens doors. It invites connection. It says, I don't know everything. Can you help me?
It reminds me of the end of the story. The Brahmin doesn't just walk away sad. He prostrates himself. He asks to become a disciple. He effectively says, I know nothing. Please teach me.
And that was the moment his true education began. The text says he practiced diligently and eventually attained enlightenment, or Arhatship.
But he had to drop the torch first.
He had to admit the darkness before he could find the light.
So as we're here, thinking about this ancient encounter in the sunlight of Kaushambi, how do we bring this into our own lives? We probably aren't walking around with literal torches.
No.
But the metaphor holds.
We carry other things. We carry our opinions. We carry our need to fix people. We carry our certainty.
That's a big one. The need to illuminate someone else's life. Because we think we know better how they should live it. We think we are the candle for them.
Precisely. We often enter conversations thinking, I am here to teach you, rather than I'm here to understand. True illumination isn't about holding a torch to someone else's face to show them their flaws. It's about holding a humble heart to better understand reality. When you approach a person or a problem with reverence, you aren't blind anymore. You see the nuance. You see the humanity.
The source material mentions that a humble mind leads to a bright life. It's interesting that the result of humility is brightness. We usually associate humility with shrinking, with being small or dim.
But the story suggests it's expansive. Because when you are humble, the whole world becomes your teacher.
Right.
You're no longer defending a fortress of, I know. You are exploring a landscape of what if. And that is a much brighter, lighter way to live.
It's less exhausting, too.
Yeah.
Carrying a torch at arm's length all day, holding it up high so everyone can see it, that's tired work. Your arm gets heavy.
It is. Defending an ego is the most exhausting job in the world. Dropping it is a relief. It's a physical and a spiritual exhale.
So here's a thought to take with you as we close this deep dive. Think about your day tomorrow, or the week you just had. Is there a specific area, maybe at work, maybe with your partner, maybe even with your children, where you have been holding a torch?
Is there a place where you've been so sure you are the light that you failed to see the sunrise happening all around you?
Maybe it's time to put it down. Just drop it. Like the Brahmin. Here it hit the ground. And see what happens when you stop trying to be the light and just start looking for it in others.
You might find that the world is already bright enough if you just open your eyes to the four clarities, to the nature of things as they really are.
Thank you for joining us in this quiet space today. We hope this story of the Brahmin and the Buddha stays with you, not as a lesson to memorize, but as a gentle reminder.
A reminder that wisdom enters when the door is left open by humility.
Rest well, or if you're starting your day, walk gently. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
Take care.